Oh, hello. How are we all doing? Great to see you all. Great to see you all. Thank you very much for joining me today. Let me just get the screen on. Let me throw the screen up. Live stream. And just let me get the Bitcoin chart up. But yeah, how are we all? Great to see you all. Thank you very much for joining. Those of you that have joined so far, do make sure, of course, you get your likes in. Massively appreciate that. Let me switch on Stonksy. Then there we go. So, yeah, how are we all doing? ICT is in the house. We've got Nick. Nick, how are we doing, mate? And we've got Steve-O. Great to see you guys. Thank you for joining. Do make sure, of course, you drop a like on the stream if you haven't. I'm just going to move my mic quickly while we're on here, and we've just started, because it's where I've moved it to is really in the way of I don't know if I'm tightening it or loosening it here. That way, innit? Yeah. Hang on, you have to bear with me while I just move my mic. It should stay on. I should have done it before stream, but I've only just thought it's where I've moved it to is now in the way. Which way did you move it to, Lucy? I can't tell. There we go. Right, there's one bit of the job done. So I think I'm going to move it here over to this side. Let me just get that sorted. And maybe throw it on the end over here. Basically, this will just give me a lot better room for where I put my mic. See, yeah, that is immediately better. That is immediately so much better. There we go. Right. So yeah, thank you very much for joining me so far. Of course, we've got FOMC today. Massive day for us, and of course the markets. Huge day. Andy is here. We got Steve-O here. We got Alistair. Good day to you guys. Thank you very much for joining me, legends. It's great to have you with me. Now, I've moved my mic. I do actually just need your guys' help with something. So I don't know if any of you went and watched the video I put up yesterday. So I put up a video on the channel, which is kind of like a new style video, basically like a TMG style video, where running through the market, running through the news, running through basically what's going on in the world of crypto and the markets. Now, that style video is very good, and obviously something I'm going to be doing a lot more of. There's going to be 2 of them videos going out every week. But the microphone in it, I don't know if you watched it, you'll know, the volume wasn't great on it. There's something when I'm recording where the volume is a lot lower than it should be in terms of input. Now, I have messed around with the settings a bit going into here, so do let me know firstly in the chat. For obviously you people that come every day, do I sound louder today than I have done previously? And let me know that first if you can, and then we're going to move on to the markets and stuff. It would just be good if I can try and fix whatever issue it is while I've got an audience, so you guys can tell me when I start messing about with the settings, if it's better, if it's worse, if I'm coming through louder than I usually typically do on streams. So let me know. Firstly, I have turned this up. So how do I sound now? And just for reference, I'll turn it onto what I had it on yesterday. So now it's on a different setting now from what I had it on yesterday. Is this worse than what it was just about 10-15 seconds ago? So that's what it's like at the moment. And then I'll turn it back up now to what I had it on when we first started the stream. Is that now better again? So let me know the difference in it if you can. Nick says, "Oh, we've got new Age of Emperor saying, yo, pump the market, mate." Yeah, Bitcoin's dropped off a little bit, hasn't it? After yesterday's pump up. Yesterday was a great pump up. better. So it's better now. So it's better now. Better now, yeah. So it's better now. Let me know if there's any change. Let me know if there's any change now. I've just put something else on. So I've just clicked another switch. Let me know, is it any better now than when it was about 5 seconds ago? Is it even better now? Hey, Wiz, how we doing, mate? Great to see you. Yeah, so me and Wiz are going to be doing a double stream later. For you people, we're going to be doing a double stream. We're going to be on the same stream for FOMC, but it's going to be actually streaming across Stonksy and CSE all at the same time. But yeah, we're going to be doing a double stream. So yeah, but let me know, is the sound better now? And just for reference, I'm going to turn off what I just had on. So now I've just turned that off, what I just had on. Is it any clearer now? Is it worse now? Do let me know about the audio now. And for reference, I'm going to turn it back on now. So it's back on now. Let me know if doing that has made any difference. Has it made it clearer? Has it made it better? I will try something else as well. So I've just put something else on as well. I don't really have any idea of what these are doing. There's 3 buttons basically. So I've just put the second button on now as well. So how is the sound now? Is it any better now? Let me know if this is the best version of the audio. Is this coming through a lot more clear? Does it sound a lot better with this? Let me know at what points. What was it the best? Was it now? Was it before I just put that third thing on? Was it better about a minute ago? We are gonna fully start the stream as well. So if this is your first time watching, don't worry. This is not what it's always like. I'm just trying to get to the bottom of this microphone issue that I'm having. You sound pretty good right now. It seems like when you move your mouth away from the microphone, it starts to cut out. So keep it close. Right? Okay. Yeah. Maybe that's it. Good. Don't touch anything. So is this the best it is right now? Just for reference, I'm going to turn off that third thing now. So the third thing is turned off. So let me know, is it any difference? Does it sound better? Does it sound worse now that I've turned that third thing off? Just so I know if I should just keep all 3 of them on or not. So just let me know about that third thing and then we'll kick the stream off properly. Jolly Wednesday, mate. Yeah, mate, it's great to see you. Thank you for joining, ICT. Thank you for joining me, mate. Just let me know in the chat if you can. Is it any better now that I've turned that third thing off from when I said I'd turned it off, or should I keep it on? I don't really have any idea about what these do, but I'm just trying to get to the bottom of why when I'm recording things, the volume seems to go quiet. Sounds good right now as well with the third thing turned off. Okay, thank you, Foley. Thank you. Yeah, just for reference, I'll turn it down now. So I think probably now, you'll probably notice a difference in how clear I am and maybe the volume, because I just turned it down. I think this probably is the thing called gain. I think that is probably the thing that makes the most difference. I think maybe I'm the most clear now. But yeah, thank you for that little test. That was good to know. Hopefully got to the bottom of it. I need to do a test before I record another video tomorrow. You could turn around, Al. Yeah, you are weird, mate. You are so weird. But yeah, let's run through about obviously what we've had in the past day or so. So yesterday we got a jolly old push up, didn't we? I mean, this was just straight. I mean, this was a big injection of volatility, wasn't it? That's bad now. Yeah, I think that's probably what it is. I think it's the gain. So I've turned it all the way back up. So what you should do, Foley, now is when you come back up to speed, I think it should sound good again. Unless it's not, let me know. Does it sound bad again now? Let me know. I don't know whether you're a little bit behind or not. But yeah, from that point when I just say that about it being good again, let me know if it's gone back good. But yeah, obviously yesterday we had a huge push up, didn't we? Really, really big, strong, volatile move. Basically, this was just a big injection of buying pressure. And if you actually look on the hourly, it was just basically just 2 hours, wasn't it? It was just 2 1-hour candles of just bang, obliterated to the upside. Basically just wiped out all the top side liquidity. All shorts got squeezed. But if we actually go to the daily, We did still, yeah, you're good right now, right? Okay, yeah. So hopefully that's the bottom of it. Hopefully, I've got to the bottom of it. But yeah, if we go to the daily, you can see we still closed back below the yearly open, didn't we? So even though we had a really good push up yesterday, again, basically all as we did yesterday was, if I pull this up, all we did yesterday in the end was just come and clear out this liquidity from last week. So last Wednesday and Thursday, obviously we had push up, and then we had another push up which didn't clear out the previous high, and then we just had a liquidity grab of that, and then a drop back in. So in terms of the daily, this is still where we are stuck. Nothing really has changed in terms of the daily, and in terms of just Bitcoin's whole outlook, really, nothing has changed at all. This was a good low time frame push up, but in terms of looking at the daily, nothing's changed. We are still capped within this range. Now, what that does say to me, potentially, obviously, we could, today's events, with the Fed cutting rates, could change it. But I'm looking at this and saying, okay, well, for the majority, this looks like Bitcoin's trading range at the moment. So basically between like 93, 94K down towards around 84K. That looks to me like Bitcoin's trading range. And what I'm saying is we've tried it once, again, we've tried it another time and failed to break out. I'm now wondering, obviously, in a range, if you can't break the upside and the upside break keeps failing, you'll typically come and test lower. But I'm looking at it and going, well, there's that wick there from yesterday, that looks nice. There's this wick here, that looks nice. And then maybe even this wick here. I'm thinking maybe, do we drop back down towards 84 and come and clear this out, come and clear all them out on the way? Because all we'd be doing is just staying within the range, wouldn't we? Now, of course, the difference would be is if we don't hold around here 84, because basically we've held 84 the whole time since the capitulation on Friday the 21st, haven't we? So we can simply just trade within here if Bitcoin wanted to, without it being a big thing, without it being the end of the world, without it really even meaning anything, because all it's doing is price is just trading between support and resistance until it's ready to break out to the upside or to the downside. What I would say is, of course, the main outcome is once we close above 93.5/94K on the daily, or if we start heading down at any point to take out this wick, the reaction from that. So at the moment, I think it's just perfectly reasonable to say, we can literally just trade between this range without it meaning anything, without it being bullish or bearish, without, anyone going into meltdown or there being too much fear or excitement in the market. Until we break either side, we are just range bound. And that means we can just flop between the range high and the range low until, we get that breakout. But I'm looking at it and thinking, that move was great yesterday, but is that kind of like a front run and maybe even just a kind of fake out moving into today's, where maybe we kind of get a sell the news event perhaps, and then we just head back down towards 84K, maybe even not, maybe we take that out, maybe we don't go down to 84. There's a potential maybe we just come and take maybe there out and stay around there, but that's kind of what I'm looking at and seeing. I'm not seeing anything yet. Hang on, just getting the phone call, just wait there. Quite funny that was a scam call, and that was, it was quite interesting. That was actually a crypto scam call. Said this is an automated call from Binance. So yeah, there you go. Quite fitting, really. I don't know. Does anyone else get many crypto scam calls, text messages, and stuff like that? I haven't had one in ages. When I do typically get them, they are typically ones pretending to be Binance as well. I don't actually use Binance. I haven't used Binance in probably about 4 years. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking at the moment anyway. Yeah, market doesn't seem to be able to break to the upside, so the logical thing would be to come and grab liquidity from the downside and test demand, whether it be here or whether it be down here. And again, that would be perfectly fine. There's no kind of major thing around that. We'd just be compressing. And the thing is, if price did that, and say we don't get a in the scenario we don't get a breakout move, I think, definitely going in towards the new year, then it would really line up. I'm trying to get the there you go, date range. If we come into, say, the new year, we've then been basically stuck within this range for about 50 days. So in that scenario, that would line up with a very strong reaction from breaking out, I think, in my view, because this is obviously a small, tight range, a 10k range to be stuck within. So I think from that point of view, we get an explosive breakout to the downside or up. Again, we may not stay in there for that time. It may be at some point in December we do fully break out to the top, or maybe we come and explore down here, perhaps, or down here, who knows. But definitely, the key thing is, we break 93.5/94 on the daily for a daily close, and then you can start looking at upside targets for, exploring maybe up here, maybe up here. Until then, we're just range bound, and of course, this being the range low, we could definitely go and explore there without it being an issue. So do let me know what you think about that in the chat. Of course, do make sure you drop a big like on the stream. Let's see what we're doing at the moment. Because I've switched up my streaming schedule, the YouTube algorithm is punishing me a lot by not pushing the stream out. So we've got 5 likes. If you legends that are watching, please take a minute, scroll down, hit the like button. It really does help me out on the streams now, because YouTube is punishing me, because I've gone from streaming 5 days a week every week to streaming Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So need your guys' help with the likes to try and get the algorithm back in our favor. If you could do that, I'd be ever so grateful. But yeah, moving on, we had some great movement, didn't we, yesterday on Solana and ETH, outperforming the rest of the market, and ETH still is today. ETH is the one that is showing the most strength again. We had this, didn't we, earlier in the year? You love being punished only by you, mate. Only if it's you. But yeah, obviously ETH had a great push up. Sorry, this is Solana. Solana had a great push up yesterday. It was up about 8%, I think, at one point. But again, obviously similar to Bitcoin, we got a lot of selling absorption going into the daily close. And again, Solana is just basically just trapped within this range, innit? And Solana's range is a lot more basey and square, isn't it, compared to ETH's and Bitcoin's. Like, if you look at Bitcoin's range, it's obviously been grinding up to here. I think probably, if anyone likes patterns, I think you could probably draw some sort of triangle on this to suggest a break to the upside, if you like your patterns. But Solana's looks a lot more like as a base and as kind of like a square formation, doesn't it, where it's actually just slammed between 2 horizontal points. ETH's, on the other hand, has basically broken out, so you can see the strength on ETH in the comparison. If you look at Bitcoin's chart here, where it's yet to break horizontal resistance and just been grinding up slowly. Solana, so out of all of them, I would say Solana is the weakest at the moment out of them 3, for sure. Solana's looking a lot more basey. But ETH is the one, fully broke out yesterday. You can see, particularly on yesterday's candle, it cleared that high, didn't it? Then come and cleared these highs, because obviously this candle here didn't take them. But had a good liquidity clearance yesterday. But crucially, look at the difference in the daily close on ETH compared to Solana and Bitcoin. Nowhere near as much selling absorption on ETH compared to Solana and compared to Bitcoin. Now, of course, we can see this on ETH Bitcoin because we are building some serious strength. That was a big green candle yesterday, wasn't it, on ETH Bitcoin? And it's followed through today, being up 1% too. So we are starting now to potentially grind back towards SR, and we can see this on the weekly. So obviously, anyone that's bullish on ETH, this is obviously what you want to see. So last time, we come into this area, didn't we? We had a good week. This was a good weekly close for me anyway. It was obviously what followed afterwards, which kind of ruined it. But we had a bleed out to the downside, but definitely ETH Bitcoin is looking like this is turning around. And a run to here in itself would obviously provide some good performance on ETH. That would be kind of like 12-13% outperformance on ETH compared to Bitcoin. So obviously, whether that be to the upside or to the downside, ETH would definitely either gain a lot more in price against Bitcoin, or of course, just lose less of its value if Bitcoin took another tumble. But really, the main attraction comes on breaking above here and then heading into here. That would be obviously the next target. If you break above this horizontal here, you know, we've then got kind of basic like a 30%, 25, 30% move towards the next point of interest on the weekly. So it's definitely coiling up to be, I mean, what do you want to call it? Good couple of weeks, maybe good couple of months, maybe good kind of half one of 2026. But definitely it's looking good, and it's coiling up nicely. So that's what I would say on ETH against Bitcoin for sure. Big day today. Let's see. Yeah, man, it is. It's a big day today. It's a big day. I mean, it is and it isn't, innit? Because we basically know the outcome, don't we? And if it's not, if this isn't the outcome, then we're screwed one way, or maybe euphoric in another. Because Polymarket and, of course, FedWatch on CME is pricing in 25 basis point cut as the only thing possible. You know, 97% chance now on Polymarket. What I would say is if it's 50 basis points, I think we probably get just a crazy gigapump, like a crazy gigapump. We could see like a 10% candle on Bitcoin. It's definitely possible. If it's a no change, God help us, we are going to melt down, I think, back down towards that kind of 80k, 81k low. But the market is basically saying 25 basis points is coming. And again, if it's not one or the other, the reaction to it is going to be crazy. If we get 50 basis points, we could see just giga candles for the rest of the night. If it's no change, we could see some big pushes down. So yeah, definitely worth watching tonight. And of course, me and Wiz will be live together, so do make sure you come and join that tonight. It's already scheduled on Stonksy and CSE YouTube accounts, so you're more than prepared to come and jump in. Hype was interesting yesterday. So Hype, even though everything was up yesterday, everything was nice and rosy, wasn't it? And nice enough. Hype was negative yesterday and keeps bleeding down. Now, it is close to my first area of interest, and I do wonder if maybe this gets front run a bit. My kind of area of interest basically had like $26 as the pinpoint middle in this region. And I do wonder, does this get maybe front run a little bit? I'm not too sure. But it's definitely, you know, it's showing a lot of weakness in the market, isn't it? Particularly over the past kind of week or two. And of course, it's had some big token unlocks. So, yeah, definitely want to keep an eye out on. Yeah, I mean, I'm interested in Hype in this region and in this region, so we'll see what happens with that. Let's have a quick check on memes, because obviously we had a huge push up yesterday. This is looking a bit like a rounded top on Fartcoin, innit? So this is looking a bit toppy. I mean, look at all that absorption on them daily candles. That is like almost a week straight of failure to break above this point here. So Fartcoin looks like it may be ready to explore to the downside again. Pengu, of course, was one of the ones. I said, do you know what, as well? On Monday, I said, I'm still interested in Pengu. And I just haven't scooped any up yet. And of course, yesterday, on Monday, we'd already began rallying. And, you know, that would have been up like 15, 20% at some point. But yeah, still haven't scooped any up. So I'm interested in these, but we'll just see what happens, because they're looking like maybe they need a little short-term pullback, perhaps. But as for the rest of the market, I mean, yeah, Bitcoin, we know where we need to break, and we know what needs to happen on Bitcoin. You know, we know that for a fact. We know what is bullish and what is bearish, and we know, you know, the levels to break and the direction to go in order for that to be a reality. So we'll see what happens for sure. Until then, we're just kind of knocking around, aren't we? We're just kind of knocking around. But if you do want me to cover anything specific, or if you've got any questions or thoughts or feelings, of course, do get it across in the chat, and we'll just keep plodding through. You know, we'll go and look at some news next. We'll look at the liquidation heat map. We'll look at all that good stuff. Tell you what, I am going to have to get my toilet break out the way earlier today, though, soon, because I can feel I've got a nice presence brewing. I've got my Santa hat on, and Santa's got a nice present that needs dropping into the toilet. So, so I'll have to go and do it in a minute. So I'll have to take my toilet break a little bit earlier. Thoughts on useless? Good question. I think let's go and let's first have a look at the price action on it. At the moment, it's looking pretty useless. I mean, if you look at that, we are basically just stuck within the SR point, aren't we? So this is the SR region here, as drawn out the last time I looked. I can't remember the last time I looked at this. Must have been a while ago. Definitely a couple of weeks ago. So that is still acting there. Now, what you can deduce from this is you don't actually need to have it like that anymore, because we've got enough price action and we've got enough in the range. I mean, Stonksy caught a nice drop on that, like 50% drop, didn't it, from there to there? Still red on the daily. You can just draw this as like a singular range now. You've got support, you've got resistance in there. There we go. So again, useless coin. You don't need to there's nothing special basically that Neji with this. There's nothing special and there's nothing overcomplicated. Currently we are stuck trading between here and here. So this is resistance, this is support, and as you can see, it's bounced between them very nicely. So it's had a good couple of laps between them, and basically all is if we break down, if you start breaking down on the daily, and particularly close the daily kind of below this region, then it's looking bad unless it reclaims it. And again, same for the upside. You need to see a break of the upside, of course. Nice push through, and crucially, a daily close above, because candles like this have pushed up, but then not closed the daily on them. So there's not really been any shift of SR. So that. And then basically you can just kind of look. I think what I would say is to the downside. I mean, there's just not a lot really until maybe you get to around this point, maybe testing that kind of region here where it flips this ish. So maybe that point, and then to the upside, I'd probably be looking up towards there, yeah. So they'd be kind of my two areas of interest for up and down at the moment, just range bound. And then if it breaks down, it's probably going to get absolutely slammed, I would say, in my opinion anyway. And if it breaks up, it's in for probably nearly a 2x pump. Not financial advice, of course. Anything may happen, but those are my thoughts. And again, you want it to be a confirmed one. You don't want to get caught on one of these fake out moves. Yeah, that would be my thoughts on that. I do actually, now you've mentioned that though, I do want to have a look at one of the memes, but this one. So this one was one I had my eye on, because I thought this may make a comeback at some point. I'm interested to keep an eye on this because of obviously the fact it's just called 4 is interesting in it. I wonder if this will just start to base out at some point. I am interested in this. Would just be obviously a complete guesswork, but that's down 91%. It's called 4. It's on B&B. We'll see. I mean, let's go and have a look. Do we have anything at all? So maybe potentially all the way down to there. Yeah, maybe. Basically within that point now, innit? It's basically within that point now. Yeah, not financial advice. Don't recommend this at all. I haven't bought any, just full declaration. But I am interested in maybe just having a punt, and again, it would be kind of boom or bust money, because this would be a 10x back to all-time high. So you just never know, do you? But yeah, that's kind of what I'd be looking at. And again, just the fact it's on B&B chain, the fact it's called 4, you just never know. Yeah, if you any more, obviously just whack them in the chat. Just any more you've got, whack them in the chat. I am gonna go take my toilet break now, and then I'll be back for the rest of the stream. So don't go anywhere. I will be back in a few minutes. Don't worry, I won't be too long. And then, of course, we'll run through what's been going on in the industry. We'll run through news. We'll run through the liquidation heat map, and of course, any more price action you guys want to cover. But don't go anywhere. If you haven't liked the stream yet, please do like the stream. And of course, remember you can sign up to BLOFIN and Stonksy, links in the description. But yeah, I'll be back in a few minutes. Stay tuned. Right, I'm back. Thank you to those of you that stayed and bared with me there. But yeah, I'm back now, so that is my toilet break out of the way. So now we can look forward to US Open, the price action, and of course look ahead to FOMC tonight. So what I will do is I'll get the poll up, because of course we need the poll. There we go. So the poll's up for US Open. Do make sure you go and get your vote in while you can. Let me get rid of that. So let's go and have a look at the heat map data, because we haven't done that yet. I'm trying to position my hat so where you can see the bobble. Is anyone else? Is everyone feeling Christmassy? I'll be honest, because it's like still not very cold. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a little bit chilly. But I went outside in just my t-shirt today, and it wasn't like I needed to run back and get my coat. If we look on the heat map data, it's showing us obviously the hot liquidity is below where we started the run up yesterday, which of course makes perfect sense. So, down towards there is without doubt a big hotspot. To the upside, you can see basically we just ran through the upside liquidity, don't we? So you can see, obviously, if you don't know how to pinpoint liquidity on the chart and look for a place where price would be drawn to, that would make sense for market makers and exchanges to push it to if it's not natural demand. This made perfect sense yesterday, because this will have obviously closed out positions, made a nice juicy amount of money on squeezing shorts and closing them. And then, of course, inversely, the late longers that started longing up here and got took out on this bleed down. Let's have a look at the 2 week chart. Again, we actually, we took out a nice bit chunk of liquidity, which exactly where we looked at on the chart before when I was saying, it took out them highs from last week. Naturally, there's going to be liquidity above there, and of course the heat map showed that. And then what did we get in turn? We took that, and then in turn we got a chunky bit of liquidity left above the high from yesterday. So that's currently where we're at in terms of liquidity. Basically, all we're doing at the moment is ranging. But what is a range? What is a range, and why does price range? That's the key thing you've got to ask yourself in it. And this can obviously, one of the steps to help you stop getting chopped up is, why does price range, and what is the aim of price ranging? Price ranges after a big move up or down because the side in which driven the move, so obviously if it goes up, the buy side, if it goes down, the sell side, at some point becomes exhausted, where they haven't got control of the market anymore and can't carry on pushing it in that direction. Price then ranges to, in essence, cool off, basically a point where we get accumulation or distribution. But while that's happening, while accumulation or distribution is happening, you get the chance to build liquidity above and below where this range is. So you get a good chance to build liquidity above or below. But then also within the range, it's an excellent chance for market makers and exchanges to chop people up, just like we're seeing now. You can see obviously the pattern on Bitcoin's price. If you actually look at this, what have we been doing the past couple of weeks? We have basically gone nowhere, haven't we? We've gone nowhere. Bitcoin's the exact same price as it was, 2-3 weeks ago now. It's the exact same price it was all along here. Obviously, drop down occurred, but then same price as it was here. It's obviously just flipped-flopped in this range. But while it's been doing that, it's obviously just been taking out longs, taking out shorts, just rinsing the upside, rinsing the downside, and just carry on, repeat, until at some point, of course, someone pulls the trigger and actually fires Bitcoin out of this range to the up or to the downside. So it's obviously good to understand, why does price range and what causes price to range. Basically just when the move is exhausted and we need accumulation or distribution to happen. which is also basically building liquidity on both sides as well, and a chance, of course, for people to get chopped up while in the range too. And of course, you need something like Stonksy in your corner if you want that extra guidance and extra help in the market to avoid getting chopped up. But yeah, I wouldn't pay too much attention on the monthly on Bitcoin. I think in terms of that, the heat map becomes basically useless because you just don't need to look at the monthly heat map, in my opinion. Basically, it works very well if you want to look at, say, the 24-hour up to the 2-week, and at that point, I think it becomes useless because there's just no point looking at something like the monthly on the heat map. But yeah, that's where we're up to anyway. So yeah, we have the Fed meeting today. So those of you that don't know, the Fed meeting is ongoing before the rate announcement. So of course, the Fed will have the meeting. Powell and the rest of the board members will have their meeting, and then at 7 o'clock UK time. So that is just over 5 hours. So 5 hours and 9 minutes. So obviously, if you're on a different time zone, it's 5 hours and 9 minutes from now. Of course, it'll be 5 hours bang on the hour. They will announce the rate decision, which, of course, it's the massive expectation that it will be a 25 basis point cut. And then from there, we'll, of course, get the market reaction. You know, Bitcoin's move, the S&P's move, which will probably be the exact same. And then moving into the press conference. So, of course, the press conference is where we also get a nice juicy bit of price action based on Powell's comments. So, yeah, I think, you know, it should be a very interesting day, and definitely make sure that you tune into the stream today. But yeah, let's go and have a look. Let's have a look at some news. What have we got going on? Let's see. Have we got any articles on CSE? We've got a Bitcoin After Dark ETF. New filing proposes a fund that only holds Bitcoin overnight. Interesting. The thing is, as time goes on, you're going to have all these. I mean, if you actually think about it, you know, there is so many ETFs and so many different variations of ETFs. We are going to end up with some crazy variations of Bitcoin ETFs. So this is an After Dark ETF, a fund designed to buy Bitcoin only after US market close and sell it at the opening bell. So of course, you want Bitcoin to be an uptrend in this, don't you? So the ETF would buy Bitcoin at market close and sell at market open, holding cash and treasuries during the day. It's designed to capture Bitcoin's historically stronger overnight returns while avoiding daytime volatility. Which is very interesting, isn't it? Very interesting. I mean, basically, what does it capture then? It basically captures all the Asian market and the London market. Now, for the most part, the London market is useless, isn't it? The London market, we don't ever really get any big moves in anymore. And if we do, they are normally reversed come US Open. So basically, this is, I would say, trying to capture the Asia market more than anything that London is involved in. But yeah, it will basically buy it at US market close and hold it overnight and then sell it near market open the next day, which would be a very interesting strategy. I mean, if we actually looked, let's see, should we see if Grok could answer this? Should we see if Grok could answer this? I think it would be quite good to see if Grok could answer this. I mean, I assume that they've probably done the research into this, because if they're launching it, there must be some data in there in saying that, you know, this would be a good strategy to actually have a successful ETF. I assume that the strategy works, and if it works, it may be something you know to look at for yourself. But yeah, that's what we're at to with that. And then there was another one that had just gone up yesterday. Trump nears final decision on next Fed chair as Kevin Hassett leads as a high stakes shortlist. So Kevin Hassett is leading the nominee to be the next Fed chair. Now, Trump has said, you know, he basically knows who he wants to nominate and that he'll announce it early next year. But it wouldn't surprise me if Trump comes and announces it based on whenever he wants to. Obviously, he would want probably the Fed to make a 1% cut today, maybe even 2% cut. He's obviously not going to get that with Powell. It wouldn't surprise me if out of anger he comes out and says, right, this is my guy. But Kevin Hassett, yeah, at the time, this was 73% odds, which the next person after that is round about like 10, 12%, I think, from when I looked at it yesterday. So it's interesting that he's not closer to 100%, because if this definitely was going to be the guy, you know, you've got basically like the chance to make a quarter of your stake there, haven't you? Which is interesting. But then you've got, Kevin Walsh. He's a former Fed governor. You've got Christopher Waller, Michelle Bowman, and Rick Ryder. But Trump actually come out yesterday and said how are Liverpool doing in the Premier League, asking for a friend. Horrible, mate. Awful. Absolutely awful, aren't we? To be fair though, I wouldn't be gloating, mate. I wouldn't really be gloating, because we won it last year. You know what I mean? We won it last year. It's been about, what's it been now for you guys? About 20 years, 21, 22 years. And I wouldn't really be laughing when you've got City right behind you, 2 points behind you. I think you would think that Arsenal won the league already, wouldn't you? The way that everyone was going on, you would have thought that Arsenal had won the league in November. Because no matter what happens to us this season, if you don't win it this season, then I would say that's just abject failure, to be honest. So I'm pretty confident that we will at least get top 4, which, if you don't win the Premier League, if you don't win anything either, you've basically had the same season as us. But we already won it, mate. We already won it last year. Arteta's on for maybe his 4th season, finishing 2nd. So I do actually think that City are going to turn you over probably within the next month. I would say within the next month from now, City will be top and you won't be. And then where does that leave you? Yeah, let's have a look at this. So yeah, this is TMG's page. Oh, we've got a video from Wiz. So who are City anyway? Well, mate, this is why I want City to win it. This is why I want City to win it. I could not bear it if Arsenal won the league. I couldn't bear it. So that's why I want City to win it. I want City to win it just because it doesn't really mean that much, does it? It doesn't really mean that when City win the league. I mean, it shows something, doesn't it? That like most people want City to win the league over Arsenal. So that just shows, doesn't it, that like no one really cares when City win the league, but also the fact that no one wants Arsenal to win the league as well. But we've got a video from Wiz here. Let's have a listen regarding the 12 days of Christmas.
Finance founder Steve said, we're going to be having a look at the token. We've had an explosive launch. Has had a nice little retracement, and we'll be breaking down where we think the price could potentially go and how to potentially trade it and what opportunities it gives, and understand the levels in which it's currently trading. So if that sounds good, fully diluted valuation of 7.44 to trading do a lot of mine. So check out weeks in the link. It's part of 2 held up.
It's a great video from Wiz. Make sure you come and watch this. Obviously, once I go off stream, make sure you head over to either the CSE X account or the CSE YouTube account, and make sure you go and watch Wiz's video. You know, go and give it a full watch. I won't show too much of it in this, so you can go and watch it and get a full read through. But this is basically, of course, a series that Wiz has started, the 12 days of crypto, and you'll be able to, of course, get a good deep dive into Asta. So
on this token,
yeah, do make sure you go and check that out. Obviously, after the stream, whether it be on X, whether it be on YouTube, and of course, leave a nice positive comment on it. But yeah, let's have a look at obviously TMG's page. What has been going on? Because, like I said, you know, on Monday, if you actually want the breaking news and the biggest news stories in crypto, TMG's page basically just accumulates it all in one. I'm going to save that actually, because that is a nice Bitcoin logo. This basically just has all the big news in crypto and basically just the traditional markets too. Anything going on with Trump, TradFi, or of course crypto. Strategy just flipped Amazon in trading volume. This was an interesting one. Bitwise CEO says that mainstream investors are coming. and banks with millions in assets have approved Bitcoin and crypto for the clients. Major news: 1.5 billion in shorts will be liquidated if Bitcoin breaks above 95k. Loads of news. Loads of news. So what else have we got? That GIF's great, isn't it? Brilliant GIF. Trump says Bitcoin and crypto is much more important than any other industry. Michael Saylor just said to buy every Bitcoin strategy mocked by Schiff. And yeah, it is rate cut day. I don't know how to say that guy's last name, so we'll just call him Vivek. Strive just started a $500 million stock offering to buy more Bitcoin. So if you do actually want, any of the breaking news or any of the big news stories, make sure, of course, you come and follow TMG's page, or just turn that notification bell on. BlackRock deposited $202 million in Bitcoin to Coinbase today. So big news story that. BlackRock has deposited a huge amount of Bitcoin into Coinbase Prime. What will that do to the price on open? BPN, how are we doing, mate? How are we doing? Great to see you, mate. Think first thing is, what are your thoughts on the market? What are your thoughts on the market? What do you think's going on? Let me know. Oh, here he is again, Mr. James. Neji says, how would you manage a Bitcoin spot position of more than 10k? I'm up about 7% currently. Plan to add a lot more on dips. But if this was you, how would you manage this position? Just keep stacking, or I think basically that just depends on what is your kind of end goal with it. I think that's probably what it is. So there's a couple different things you could do with something like that, which is actually a really good way to play it. But there is a couple of different things you could do. So obviously the first one would just be a buy and hold strategy. You buy it, and maybe your idea is in 10 years, this will basically be like my pension and I can retire. Maybe your idea is I'm going to just hold this for 20, 30 years and pass it down to my kids or whatever. But basically the first thing would be is a buy and hold strategy. You don't care about drawdown maybe over the next 6 months, year potentially. And your idea is you're looking 5, 10, 15, maybe even 20 years in the future. And you've got that kind of goal in mind of holding it until then, in which point a buy and hold strategy basically is you don't trade it in it. That's basically what it is. So you've got that one, you've got that one depending on, and again, this depends on what exactly are your goals and kind of what you want to do with it. The other one, of course, is that you just trade it as you would perps, but obviously with spot. So what you could do is, when you approach points of resistance, you sell it, and then you look to buy back lower. Now, of course, you have to be strict with something like that, because, you have to obviously make sure that you're selling at the right points of time, so, the right resistance levels. The good thing about spot is, if you get it wrong, on Bitcoin especially, you may end up having to buy back 0.5% or 1% higher. But, that's the other one you could do. So I think really it just depends on what is your goal, Neji. What is kind of like your long-term goal or short-term goal? Is it to take that 10k of Bitcoin and turn that 10k into 15k, maybe even 20k over the next kind of maybe a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever? I know you said you're adding more, you're going to add more on dips. I suppose that you need to decide on what your goal is, because you could simply do a buy and hold strategy where you just buy it, and of course, you don't touch it for the next 5, 10, 15 years, whatever. Or you do kind of like a trading strategy with it, where you trade it as if it would be a perps trade, but of course you're using spot. Now, what I would say is, at some point, if you're doing that, you may become tempted to leverage trade the USDT, because obviously if you're going to sell the Bitcoin, you're going to end up with USDT, aren't you? Or USDC. You have to, in my opinion, of course, again, it's not financial advice. It's just obviously a couple of strategies you could do. You're obviously going to have to make sure, are you a strict person with managing your funds? Because, of course, what you don't want to do is be doing this strategy and then have a moment of madness where you put a trade on with the stables that you'd be using for this strategy, using leverage, and then maybe end up losing 10, 20, 50, maybe even 100% of it in a moment of madness. So that's the other thing I would say you need to account for, because obviously a buy and hold strategy, you don't sell it, do you? You know, you buy and hold. That's the idea of it. And obviously you never then really put in that situation of being tempted where, you know, say for instance you go and sell that Bitcoin now that's worth almost 11k in it. If you've 10k and you're up about 7%, it's almost worth 11k. You know, how strict are you in managing that position? Or, you know, do you potentially see a world where, you know, maybe for instance you've slept bad the night before, or you're tired or whatever, or maybe you're out for dinner and Bitcoin's crashing, and you think, oh God, if I put a trade on now, I could maybe make a lot more back than doing this spot trading strategy. And then of course, you know, just a moment of madness, a moment of not thinking properly, and then you find yourself in a big drawdown of them funds that you were meant to be trading with spot. So I think that's another thing to consider as well, is how much do you trust yourself, and how much self-control do you have to simply not leverage trade with them stables if you are going to take kind of the trading aspect to it. The other thing you could do, of course, is if you're holding from this point on, is go and look at the chart and go and look at, say, something like the daily or the weekly, and say, right, you know at some point when Bitcoin is in an uptrend, it's going to get a pullback. You know, we've had 30% pullback, 30% pullback, 30% pullback, don't you? So what you could do is you could say, right, I'm going to do a buy and hold strategy from here. But if Bitcoin gets close to 140k, 150k, whatever, you know, again, this is completely subjective to your view. You need to decide it. But basically say, like, okay, you know, from here, if Bitcoin has a run of 50%, 60% even, you know, if we look at obviously what it did here from kind of around where it bottomed out, you know, that was 90%, wasn't it? From here around where it bottomed out, you know, that was 50, 60%, similar to that. You know, maybe you think 170, maybe even 200, whatever. You think, right, okay, when I see Bitcoin have one of these parabolic moves like it's been doing, of, you know, all cycle basically, you know, if you look at that one again, that's like 70, 80%. You think, right, this is the point where I'll sell it, because you've got the idea that at some point, you know, maybe you sell it, you know, for instance, right, let's say you sell here, let's say you sell at 140k and it goes up to 160, whatever. So it's gone up, say it goes up another 15%. And this is obviously where it comes back to also, is how strict are you? Because obviously what you don't want to then do is then, because you'll be sat on a chunk of stables, is then again in a moment of madness, in a moment of FOMO, in a moment of just getting too caught up in the idea that you've sold too early, is then go and deploy here, and then from that point on, Bitcoin gets, you know, 20, 30% pullback, maybe even into this range, and then of course, you know, you're then taking that drawdown on there, where then you could have simply just bought 20% lower with all of your money. So there's so many different factors to this, and definitely in a buy and hold strategy, it basically removes any of this. But a buy and hold strategy really only works if you've got a long-term outlook. If you've got an outlook of 1, 3, 6 months, maybe even a year, of course that isn't the best one, because at some point you have to sell. But I would definitely say in this aspect, you know, it's just basically like you could trade it in terms of in smaller moves. You know, for instance, like I marked out, didn't I, like all my levels of interest for like the next maybe like 6 months here. And you know, you could arguably trade a spot position with these. You may just want to choose the major ones to do that. You know, again, it's up to you. Or simply you could hold from here in the belief that Bitcoin's going to get another leg up, and then from that point you sell, and you're like, right, I'm going to buy when it's 30, 40% down from this point on, and then that's when you're going to redeploy. But again, it's about how much you trust yourself, because at some point when you sell, if you're doing like a spot trading strategy, you'll be sat on stables and you then need to make sure that you're not going to either throw that into a leverage trade and become in a big drawdown, or if Bitcoin carries on going up, you're then not going to buy out of FOMO and then end up, then having to stomach a drawdown, when if you'd have stuck to your strategy, you'd have been able to just fully deploy your stables at a lower price. So it's a really tough one to answer. I can't really give you a perfect answer, and of course I can't give you financial advice, but there are definitely a few strategies there, what I've talked about just then, in what you could look to deploy. And basically what you need to do is you need to look at your end goal in terms of time and everything like that, and then look at what would you be best at. If you know for a fact, you may suffer from a lack of judgment or whatever, or you think you may fall into the trap of a FOMO in or using the stables for a leverage trade or whatever, then maybe look at buying hold strategy. But again, I can't tell you what to do. What I would say is just lay out a plan of, right, this is what I actually want from this Bitcoin that I've got and stuff, and then say this will be the best strategy for me. And that's all you can do, really. BPN is short from yesterday's high. Are you still looking for 80k, mate? I know you said, I think it was last week, wasn't it? You were looking for 80k. If you can't sleep on a stock for years, leave it alone. Good advice for long-term stress-free gains. Very true, mate. Very true. Bitcoin looks like it wants to go up today, says Fever. Yeah, we'll see, mate, won't we? 91k, then pump, says James. I think we've still got a CME gap open as well, haven't we? For anyone that's interested, anyone that still watches the CME gaps, we still have one open just below 90k, just as an FYI, down here. So it opened at 89,425, and the most we've filled down to is 89,765. And of course, that's on the CME exchange. So a slight difference in price compared to crypto exchanges by a couple $100. But yeah, just for obviously anyone that doesn't realize that or not, we do have a CME gap open down there too. So yeah, yeah, we'll carry on running through some stuff in a second. Agree with James, 91k, that midline, a fair value gap. There. Yeah, potentially. I think we're coming to a point, aren't we, where definitely, if you look on a daily, of where Bitcoin needs to break above the yearly open for a daily close, or we're going to simply have an aggressive move back down to the downside, I think, because obviously price has just been grinding up towards this, and is obviously now reaching a point of compression too. So it's at the point where it needs to break up here, or we are going to just fall back to the downside, in my opinion anyway, because there's not really much more room for price to go between being wedged at resistance or have an aggressive move to the downside. More than likely we see 86, 84, but I know my 78 to 80k is a big ask. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I think, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think at some point this wick will get filled in. I think we can all agree on that, can't we? Like, at some point, I think this wick will get filled in my view. I think it's a massive ask to say that Bitcoin never goes below 80k again, ever. So at some point that'll get filled in. Yeah, it's just a question of now or maybe much later down the line. Maybe some point next year, who knows? But yeah, I think definitely for where Bitcoin's at, and basically what is this? This is basically just price pushing itself to a point of decision. You can see obviously we've had this wider trading range, but we are getting contraction to the upside in volatility. You can see obviously big wide moves, and then the moves gradually get smaller to the point where price needs to do something. And in this aspect, it's either break above resistance and go on to high levels, or have a full unwind back to the downside. And that's the question, isn't it? Is what is what will come? That is the question. What will come? Let's go and close out the poll anyway. So the poll, most people think we're going down. Interesting. Very interesting. Let's see. Let's do a poll as well in the chat. I'm going to do this one. Do it. Go and answer this question. What comes first? 100k or 80k? What do you think? $100k or 80k? Let me know on the poll, or let me know in the chat if you have a strong view on it. But yeah, we do have plenty going on today. And of course, it's nearly Christmas. This time in 2 weeks, it's Christmas Eve. Can you believe it? The man with the highest IQ in the world just said Bitcoin is going to hit 100k in 7 days. There we go. The man with the highest IQ is putting his bet out there. So yeah. Santa rally. Bitcoin needs to trade in the 70 to 72 range at some point. Might not be soon, but I do believe we see those prices again. Yeah, I mean, I think if you're talking about seeing prices again, I mean, I would say there's a big chance we see like 60 or 50k again over the coming years. Santa rally, says Nick. 100% we see 70, 72. My target is 27k after we actually rally towards all-time highs. I remember you saying that, mate. Yeah, 27k. I remember you saying that. That would be insane, wouldn't it? Like, what an opportunity that would be. Like, everyone would be losing their minds, and I would just be there rubbing my hands together, going, right, buy as much Bitcoin as possible. That would be an insane opportunity. And really, you might think that is a crazy target. Like, why would it go there? I think two things. There's two possibilities that would ever send Bitcoin back down there. It would be MicroStrategy mostly or partly blowing up, which we kind of know that they're safe for the next couple of years. So unless something happens where one of the wallets get phished or something like that, then it would be just complete and utter TradFi explosion, which is what I think is probably the most likely case, is just a complete trend shift in the S&P, complete turnaround, and yeah, just a nuke of the S&P trend. That's the thing retail I think it done. Mate, I remember the same thing when we were down at 15, 16k. I remember the exact same thing. It just seemed like it was never going to come back, and it did. I think it goes up to 100k, then we see if it goes to 107 or drops to 60. Then it's up to whether it's an extended bull run later in 2026. Yeah, I think this is the big question, isn't it? Is the 4-year cycle dead or not? Because there's a lot of talk now about people saying that the 4-year cycle is dead or the 4-year cycle is still intact. And basically, very good. There's a very easy way to not get caught up in this conversation if you don't want to. Because, I think it was just yesterday, we had people like Kathy Wood saying the 4-year cycle's over and stuff like that. The 4 years, I'll give you the exact fact. The 4-year cycle is still intact. The 4-year cycle is fully intact and fully still working, because we sold off at the same point in time after the halving as we have done previous cycles. So when you have these people saying the 4-year cycle's dead, the 4-year cycle is no more and stuff like that, they're basically, it's all theory. It's just all theory and speculation, and basically they're using whatever beliefs or data points they want. The only way that the 4-year cycle is actually dead is if we hit all-time high from here, because then it would be a complete shift away from timeline and everything else that we've known about previous cycles. So that's it, and that's basically the way you can adopt it. Is you've got obviously people saying it's an extended run or a super cycle or this and that, and basically it's all just guesswork and all just theory. The only way we know for a fact is if we go to all-time high from here, and that's simply it. For a while, Bitcoin is below all-time high. Now, the 4-year cycle is intact, and you can run with the 4-year cycle theory. If Bitcoin goes above all-time high from here, we are then obviously past the point of previous cycles, and then we are entering obviously something new that we've not seen before, and that's it. You don't need to get caught up in the guesswork and the theory, because that's all it is. It's literally just thin air in it. People just plucking. It's like when people say Bitcoin's going to 1 million by 2030. They're just plucking a number, a big juicy number, and a year out of the air and saying this. And it's just guesswork and theory in it. And the same for the 4-year cycle. It's just guesswork and theory until it is actually happened or doesn't happen. And then we are still stuck in a 4-year cycle. So we'll have to see. And that's basically it. And we don't have to get caught up in the guesswork and stuff like that. 4-year cycle is alive and well until we break all-time high, and then you can say it's dead. We've got US Open coming in 6 minutes time, so there is no, not again. ICT stories. There is this girl I liked. What happened to meeting up with your ex, mate? On Monday you said you were meeting up with your ex. What happened there? You haven't even given us a lowdown on that. I proposed her being drunk. You proposed to her a few days ago being drunk, mate. You literally said that you were meeting up with your ex. This was on Monday. Is this the same girl? She said she needs time, or are you just making stuff up? Because literally on Monday you said you were going and meeting your ex. Which is it? I need to move this microphone again. I think I'm going to put it over there. It just doesn't work with where it is. It's like kind of getting in my face, isn't it? I'm going to move it before US Open and see if that's any better. Right, that is better, isn't it? That is in a much better position now. There we go. That is in a much better position. Right, just give me a second, and then we're running into US Open then. Right. Let's go. ICT, what time do you... Oh, God. I'm not saying that. Mate, you can't start saying things... Mate, don't start saying things like that in the chat. ICT, don't start saying things like that in the chat. You can't be saying things like that in the chat, ICT. I don't know, mate. I don't know what you should say to her. I mean, you proposed to her. Like, how long have you been seeing this girl before you proposed to her? Like, you literally said that you was asking your ex about out on Monday, and then now suddenly you've proposed to some girl. Like, how long have you been seeing this girl? She just got out of a relationship, and you've proposed to her. Like, what are you doing? Yeah, make sure you do drop a like on the stream, though, guys. Please do drop a like. It helps us massively, and we are coming into US Open in 40 seconds. So $20 seconds to go. Oh. Whoa. I've been seeing this girl for about 6 months. She is new in my neighborhood. So when did she get out of a relationship, or was you seeing her while she was in a relationship? There we go. We're open for US market anyway on FOMC day. Stu says she's probably in bed with another guy. Nice Stonksy and get on the charts. There you go. I think that's a good point made by Stu there, to be honest. I think that's probably a really good point made by Stu. No, I don't think he's a real person either. Either that, or I think it's kind of like some sort of social experiment where someone is just using ICT's account to come in and just see the reaction from like me and everyone in the chat when you just say like different things. It's either he's a real person and he's utterly insane, or it's kind of like a meme and a joke, and it's some sort of social experiment that is being put upon us. It's one of the two. He's either a real person and he's just completely insane, or it's some sort of social experiment or joke. He's texting 5 girls at the same time. Do you think I'm a one girl dude? To be honest, I don't know about everyone else, but I thought he was a no girl dude. Or it's TMG and he's bored ASF. I don't know, no, because I don't know. I don't think this would be the direction that TMG will go with coming in and just having fun and stuff like that. Like I think TMG will come in and on a different account just start saying loads of random stuff, maybe start hailing friendly abuse at me and stuff like that. Like I think he would go a complete different direction. I don't think he would say what ICT is saying. I think it would be a case of like just saying, just having a laugh and stuff like that. ICT's got very specific topics in which he talks about, so I don't think it would be TMG. He's got too much time on his hands. I know, yeah. I thought you were meant to be running a casino. I mean, oh my god. The thing is, from what he's just said in the chat there, everyone from his latest message, it actually wouldn't shock me if he did. That's the issue. Slow day today. We're just waiting, aren't we? We're just all sat here waiting for tonight. I mean, we may not even get much movement during US market today until FOMC. It's 4 p.m. Who is coming? Hey, I know this casino's not too far from me. That are open 24/7. There's no clocks in casinos. There's no clocks in casinos for a reason, isn't there? There's no clocks in casinos because people forget the time and they obviously don't want people to know what time it is. So it doesn't really matter what time of day it is. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. By the sounds of it, you're coming into something. I was thinking we get a pre-FOMC pump before the dump. Well, we may not get much, mate. I mean, that move yesterday may have been kind of the pre-FOMC move when you think about it. That move yesterday, because it was a crazy move, wasn't it? Like 2 very big 1-hour candles. That may be kind of the pre-FOMC move before FOMC. And kind of catch everyone off guard, because I think everyone would have expected something like that today, wouldn't they? Typically, you would think a move into FOMC and kind of wipe out one of the sides. Maybe that was it yesterday. Pelling, I don't know, mate. I don't know, but we've retraced a lot of that move already, haven't we? I don't know about you, but getting to a certain age, having 5 women on the go at once sounds like hell. Fair enough. Not much tourists kind of. Mate, you need to get a different vibe going in that place. Then you've obviously not got the right vibe. You need to get it to a point where, you know, it may be like a hotspot for younger people to go and like drink in there and stuff like that as well. You need to do something with it. Sounds like you've got the complete wrong marketing model on it and complete wrong thing. You do it to the point where if it's only people you know that are going in there, then it's not obviously doing very well, is it? So shift it up, mate. Try and make it like a more of an attraction for people to like hit the spot to have a drink and stuff as well. Get it on TikTok and get some good videos about it on TikTok. Put something in there that's not in other ones, and I don't know what it is. You know, put something in there though that would make it stand out and give people a reason to go there, or just make it look really nice inside too. Plenty of things you could do to get it busier. But we've not really had much movement on open. We're just chilling in and around this area. Let's go take a look at what we've got. So we've got MSTR. Oh, that is a big sell-off, isn't it? That is some big 5-minute candles there. MSTR selling off down almost 2%. Coinbase down almost, just over 1.5%. Circle down 3%. Gemini. The S&P itself is down 0.5%. Interesting. The S&P is down. It's been selling off over the past hour, but when you actually zoom out, it's near its highs, isn't it? It's near its highs, but it has been selling off for the past 3 days of it. I mean, for me, I don't know about anyone else, but forget 4-year cycle, forget 4-year cycle, forget ETF inflows, forget bloody banks issuing Bitcoin and stuff like that. For me, the single most important thing is if/when this thing takes a macro turn, and I think that will be the biggest thing. If/when this thing takes a macro turn, we've basically been up only since October 2022, haven't we? So over 3 years, we've been up only, and in that time, the S&P has done basically 100%. Obviously, this was a very sharp sell-off and correction, but for me, the thing to watch for is if/when this thing takes a macro turn, and then that will be when I think you really need to start becoming concerned about Bitcoin. Until then, we are of course just kind of in just standalone crypto weakness because the stock market is still strong, but the S&P is really retracing that open sell-off now. Look at that 5-minute candle. Are we reflecting it in Bitcoin? We are absorbing some of that selling a little bit. Bearish US Open. I wouldn't even say it's bearish. I would just say it's nothing. It needs renovation. I'm thinking starting March, I'll renovate it all in about 70 to 80k. New seats, new machines, a new license, all in roughly 100k in 3 months' time. I reckon if you made it dead nice inside, put something in there that's kind of like unique as well. I don't know what. Or like the design. Obviously, the design in there needs to be nice, but you need to put something in there unique that'll get people in. Basically, and you need to get it out there. You need to get employ someone part-time just to film in there and post TikToks. Honestly, just go and find like someone that will do a couple hours a week where they just go down there, they run your TikTok page, and they just film inside of it, showing off like all the new inside and stuff like that, and then post it on TikTok, and you'll probably be surprised about how much traction you get. It's all about online advertising now. Check out Silver. Yeah. So yeah, Silver's been on a mad run. Crazy. $60. $60 it is. Turn it into a church. I imagine probably there's been too many sins in that place, to be honest, Steve. I reckon there's probably been too many sins committed in ICT's residence to not to mention the fact it's just a casino anyway, but I've imagined there's probably been too many sins committed to turn that place into a church. Yeah, I mean, we're just kind of quiet on open, aren't we? We're just kind of quiet on open. Not really getting much. Again, we may just be really quiet until we come to the point of US Open. Hype is taking a bit of a turn again. This was one that was actually down yesterday while everything else was green. But yeah, I think all in all, a bit of a quiet open again. You know, mixed open on the S&P, dumped down initially, then kind of starting to push back up a bit. Bitcoin, a bit weaker, not really getting much. So don't worry, I have ideas. I spend 6 hours there every day since I was born. Well, good luck to you, mate. Good luck to you. I hope you make it more successful than it is now. Yeah, Bitcoin's snapping back a little bit now. What have we got on the Mag 7? Let's see. Got Nvidia up at 184. Apple chilling. Meta down 1.24%. Microsoft down 2.5%. Amazon up 1.5%. Tesla around break even. Google around break even. The overall Mags ETF at 67 basically. This thing has been climbing. I was going to buy this as well, wasn't I? Not too long ago. Do you remember? And this thing has been shooting up, yeah. About 50% up. This thing still hasn't filled the gap. Where's Bitman? Yeah. So yeah, I think all in all, a bit of definitely a quiet open. And obviously we could just get a quiet session. Obviously FOMC comes towards the later end of US session, but you know the market will still be open. Invite texting influencers to place and give them free booze. Yeah, I think TikTok advertising is a really good form in it as well. But yeah, I think we'll leave the stream there because obviously I am live again later and we've not really got anything on open, have we? So do make sure you come to the live stream tonight. If you can, it's scheduled in for 6:45 UK time. So literally 4 hours from now, I couldn't do the mental maths in my head then, looking at the clock. 4 hours from now, basically 4 hours from now, I'll be live again with Wiz. We'll be doing a dual stream for FWeb. So do make sure you come and tune in. And yeah, thanks for joining. Make sure you drop a like. Have a great rest of your day, and hopefully I'll see you tonight. Catch you all later.